Welcome to Rose City, the After Show, the podcast where we dive into the world of the popular novel Rose City by author Corenna Khieu. In each episode, we will be discussing a different aspect of the book, from the complex characters to the intricate plot twists and everything in between. Make sure to check out Rose City on Kindle Vella to stay up to date as we explore unique perspectives and insight on the story. Today, we will start off with a life hack from no one other than Corwin Ray.
Well, thank you. You know, tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So if you need to cuss out somebody, do it today. For more bad advice, please feel free to follow me at Rose City. Thank you.
I do think that's probably some bad advice, to be honest.
You look so proud of yourself.
He really is, though, isn't he?
On the daily.
All right.
On the daily.
Anyway, so we are here at episode 8, Friday night, part 5, Cinco. Could this be him? All right, everyone. What are our thoughts about episode 8? So what we can see is Malia is having some flashbacks to when her and Mike broke up and just everything that led up to that point with him breaking off the engagement breaking off their relationship 2 weeks before his marriage because he was engaged to another woman. Any thoughts, any comments, any anger, any whatever before we get started with the questions?
Well, definitely.
I can start off with.
Go ahead, Corwin.
No, I'm sorry, I missed what you. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Honestly, now are we just talking about Chan, or are we still talking about Mike?
Well, we're going over kind of just like what were your main thoughts on this chapter. We're going to go into questions here soon, but if there was just something that was just eating you up and you just had to say it, like what were your thoughts on chapter 8?
Well, yeah, let me give you both barrels, if I may. I got to be honest with you. I honestly think that Malia has a horrible man picker. I mean, this young lady is just wild with it. Now, she has somehow a little bit escaped from the treacherous claws of Mike, but now she seems entranced by Chan, who's a bigger villain than anyone she's ever known before. I was surprised to find out that Antonio was engaged, though. I mean, because he had been swirling this idea in his perm about him and Malia, and that he'd have to give up a thug life. But now all of a sudden he's engaged? Come on, bruh. He ain't treating his young little lady fair. He ain't doing right by her or himself. Now, as far as Mel goes, I really think she needs to get herself together. She needs to go back to Chris the barista and really kind of get her hands in on the square bear. She has a horrible picker, ladies. I'm going to be honest with you. And she's going to end up with Chan. And if she don't bring some bottom over that night, he probably is going to send the mob over to handle grandma and mom's. So that's just my 3 cents for the day.
Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I'm so done with you, Corwin. You need to get over Chris, okay? I need you to read further in the story so you can be over Chris's life. But definitely, man, that flashback Malia had, I mean, I don't see how she could ever even have, I don't care how fine she feels Mike is, there's just certain things that just looks alone can't fix, and after doing some dirt like that, I'm sorry, he should be permanently ugly and just, the taste completely taken from your mouth. But yeah, my heart goes out to Malia as always, and wishing that I could rescue her through all this. And, I was actually, when I first read the story, my very, very first time, I was surprised that Anthony was engaged too. I was shocked to see that, I was like, oh, okay. I think this chapter was the first time we actually heard of April. So yeah, I was shocked at that too. But we'll wait till we get to the questions. Alicia?
I yeah, I read this and I really hated Mike. All this, it didn't matter what he looked like at that point. It's like it seemed like all the fineness just melted away as I read this chapter. And I know I'm gonna probably regret this, a few more episodes in or whatever, but I'm actually kind of glad her and Chan had that meetup. It's like the chapter's been dancing around, from the dreams into blah, blah, blah. And so they think that's her. Oh, I might see her from behind. And oh, it's just him, blah, blah, blah. They're finally having that interaction. And then apparently, I guess they had an interaction before. That not confused me, but I was like, oh, this isn't the first time they've seen each other. And then, the dream started after they had the encounter at the wedding years prior. So, yeah, I'm excited that them two actually met. Now, we don't know where it's going to go, but, for right now, I'm happy that they met. But Mike's Lord Jesus.
Mike was
Mike.
I'm done with you. Mike was a whole hot mess because this chapter, he just does a lot. And I think it was, you can shake your head if you want to. I think it was really heartbreaking when she kind of went down. That's why God has your camera all blurred out, because he's tired of you too. I think Memory Lane was definitely heartbreaking. And I think that a lot of people who've had their hearts broken or have been treated in similar manners, even if it wasn't to this degree or this extreme of what Mike has done to Malia, it's like you see a bit of yourself in her with that situation and that story. And I'm gonna be honest, like I was proud of sis. Like I know there was that pettiness of being like, oh, I have somebody and he's on his way, and that type of thing. And then when she walked back to the VIP, she's like, dang, why did I lie? Because now she's like, I got to get up out of here because I really don't have nobody coming and I don't need him coming back over here. And so when the whole, meeting of Chan happens, it's kind of like, I told you somebody was coming. The universe got somebody special for me. So regardless if that's what it turns into or not, I was kind of glad that Mike was able to see her on the arm of some exquisite eye candy. He lost himself. I mean, she got called the B word. He was talking bad trash in his head because while she's sitting over there having memories and flashbacks of a relationship and marriage that didn't happen and all that other stuff that was dangled in her face like candy. He's over there at the bar with his homeboys. His homeboys like, yeah, look at Mel. She over there looking upset. Da, da, da. And he's making jokes. He's waving. He's telling her, come back over here. And she's out of it. You know what I mean? And Mike was still just being childish. If you know you did somebody dirty and you now regret it 5 years later, the way he's handling the situation doesn't seem to me like a person who's changed at all. He just doesn't. He seems like the same old Mike, up to the same old games. In the words of Alicia from last week, ready for, part 2. And so we don't want none of those. All right. So let's go on to the first questions. Kyrie?
Well, can I just add on one last part to what everybody
Come on
said,
in here, Toxic.
if I may. Oh, Toxic. Okay. I just think that the fact that anybody is rooting for Chan, knowing that this guy is a criminal, is absolutely mind-blowing. So, and let's be honest about it. Chan is the kind of guy that doesn't take no for an answer. So I'm telling you, when he tells Malia to bring her hiney over to his, over to his abode, and she refuses, I got a bad feeling that he's going to send over the triads and whatever to scoop her up in that Lexus coupe and bring her through. Are you people serious? I'm starting to wonder about y'all's pickers and whatnot. The guy's a mob boss. Get out of here.
But in all fairness, Malia doesn't know that he's mafia. All she knows is that he's a handsome young guy who's well dressed and who's taking good care of himself. And he's showing extreme interest. And that's what ladies like. Like all these guys, well, I'm playing it cool. I act like I ain't really checking for her. That's why you don't get the girl, because the girl that you want, you better be checking for all over that body, baby. Get up on that. You know what I'm saying? Get, oh, shut up. You let her know that you smelling good today. I like
let me just back it.
Don't listen to him because
let me
back
it up for a second, please.
Ladies like a man who's very expressive. You know what I'm saying? When there's that vibe there, let me know I'm working it out today, baby.
Answer me this, Corenna.
Yeah.
So answer me this: the Russian guy, the older guy who approached Mel at wherever she was with Chris the barista, he was very upfront. He actually had money, he had influence, and apparently had some power and whatnot. Hold on a second.
You got sirens and stuff like going on out there in the hood.
Yeah, because even the fire department knows, and the police know that there's a crime being committed. Even the police know that there's a crime being committed on this podcast.
Major hospitals.
These people are wild.
No, I'm going to say this.
What I'm saying is, to Corenna, to your point, that yes, to your point that a woman wants a man who knows what he wants. The older Russian guy was the same way.
Corwin, this is okay. This you go ahead and mute yourself. Go ahead and mute yourself, and I'll tell you why.
You got acting like the guy was an animal. You know what I mean? Because
we are done with you.
Aggressive.
This is what I want to say, and this is the problem with Corwin and Corwin's thought process. Corwin thinks that just because a man shows interest in a woman, then that is automatic access. You forget the fact that both parties have to both have those same attraction, that same want. So who cares if Luca was throwing himself out there like the big fish of the day? Yes, you do. Ladies, is that not the feeling that you get from Corwin? That if a man wants a woman, then he's entitled to just have her because he likes her. You still on Chris.
That's not what I said.
But that's what,
you were making me sound like Ralph the raper over here. No, that's not what I said.
Okay, am
what
I wrong? Ladies, you guys chime in. I'll mute myself. What do you guys think?
You're wrong. And this coming from a man point of view, you are 1,000% wrong, sis.
Well, for the record, from my point of view, I think Malia needs to say no to freaking everybody. I think she needs to pack her bags, run up out of Rose City, and go find her peace of mind on an island for a while, and just figure things out for herself. Get some healing, and then maybe we can come back and try relationships again. But she's just been through so much, just all the way around. I just need her just to run away for a little bit, but maybe that's just the way I would do things. So that's not always the best thing.
And nobody's going to Tacoma, Cohen.
I'm on both.
Needs to come to Ainsworth, but whatever.
I'm on both sides of the fence. I think I get what Cohen's trying to say. How we kind of what he's saying. I'm not saying I agree. He's Cohen. I'm not. We're not going to agree, but I think what he's trying, when we talked about Luca, we kind of put him through the ringer, and we weren't even sure what it was that he did. He just seemed mafia. Whereas with this guy, with Chan, we know he's tried. Malia don't know, but we know that he's tried.
But that's the difference. We know, but Malia doesn't know.
And so I think I get
Malia doesn't know either. Hello.
Exactly. But Malia felt something was strange with Luca.
But that's what and I'm saying she had an encounter with Chan before, and she's remembering that, whatever they had, like it said in the book, when she turned away at the elevator, her body screamed for him. Like she's had this whatever with like this connection. So, and we want, because he's so fine and he's got all these business, we want this for her. We want her to have a good, successful man, and he's so intrigued. Like Erica can't even take his attention away, even though she tried. And that's something, that's we want this for her, but then, like I said earlier, I might regret a few chapters on down, like, oh man, I was all Team Chan, and this Negro don't turned out to be.
Well, okay. What I am gonna say is one of the reasons why. Shut up. One of the reasons why we are kind of like, oh, that might be a cute little fit. We don't know though. We don't know what's gonna happen. We are specifically taking the story chapter by chapter, and even though Like some of us have read, deeper into the story. Some of us have not. So what we try to do is we want to take it chapter by chapter and live in that moment. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's triad. He's a bigwig, right? But again, Malia doesn't know that. So at this point in time, he's just like a really sexy, smart guy who's into business, and she's having a nice time. We don't know where that's going to go, so who knows? But Cora went over here being a negative Susan.
Whereas she knew right off the bat Luca was up to something.
Something wasn't right.
Now I
the
see.
Pieces
That's why I said I'm sitting on the fence and I see both sides.
And I don't understand, Corwin, how you can always fix your mouth to say that she has a bad picker. Like how is she supposed to just know who these men are right off the bat? Like you've never met a female that didn't end up being who she presented herself to be down the road, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't give her an opportunity to show you who she was. So I don't think that's fair.
You make an excellent point, Miss Russia. And so that's what brought me back to Luca. Because again, Malia doesn't know him from Adam's off aunt. But for some reason, her women's intuition has told her, stay away from this guy because he'll harm you. And he wears an overcoat. I guess he has and I don't know if she thinks he has a Tommy gun underneath or something. I mean, I don't know, right? But she's seeing Chan, and she is just so enamored with his smooth skin and his eyebrows and his Gucci suit. So now all of a sudden he's okay. All right, well, I'm going to just be honest with you, right? I think all she would have got with Luca was a sore putty cat and maybe a few bucks on her, maybe on her a chime card. I don't know. I'm telling you, her life is in danger with Chan. And nobody wants to hear me. Now, now let me also say this. I have not actually read any more of the book than the current episode that we are. But being a man, seeing what's coming down the pipe, it's gonna be no bueno. And I'm not sure what good is in Russian or Chinese, but I can say for a Spanish, it's gonna be no bueno. I'm done.
Well, we love your feedback. Thank you for that. And to those of you out there that probably think the same as Corwin, we'll see what happens. So now on to our fan questions. Our first question comes from Christina from Tacoma. Is Mike a sick person? The book said Malia being mean to him turns him on. Why would her treating him like that turn him on? Are people really like this? Well, I feel like you are very fortunate to not have met anyone like that because they very well do exist. And it's pretty frightening, when you think you're trying to scare somebody off and you say a few choice words for them to take you seriously, and they just start smiling and being like, ooh, give me some more of that spicy. Yeah. Caliente. Yeah. Bring it to me. I have met people like that and it's very frightful. So yes, they do exist. And yes, Mike is a sick person. And that's how I feel about it.
Alicia?
Yeah, he's sick. And I'm gonna piggyback on what Kyrie had said, where she's like, you think you're saying some choice words and you're being tough and you think you're gonna scare this guy off, only for him to like laugh in your face and want you even more. Yeah, that's problematic. I've had a few run-ins myself with stuff like that. And yeah, it's you're hoping words is enough. You could get no, I'm not interested. Get away. Blah 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 blah. As opposed to them like, yeah, okay, I ain't going nowhere. No, who going where? It's like, oh no. But yeah, the fact that her getting so upset turns him on. Not just the anger, but to him, for her, it's something really painful. That she's even when she's screaming, get away from me, blah, 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 it's coming from a place of pain. And for him to almost kind of take pleasure in that, and turn it into something, that, turns him on. It's like, okay, this, that just furthers the point that he wasn't over, he didn't care about hurting her. He knew he hurt her, as a matter of fact. Now he's seeing all this emotion and he's like, oh, okay, she must have been really feeling me. I got this back, so yeah, he's definitely sick. And that anger, his anger, how, he came there, I guess, with the point of trying to get back with her, and then her becoming everything but a child of God. And she even said, he called, Chan goofy, and just, oh, F her and this and blah, blah, blah. That anger, that could be dangerous. That could be dangerous. So yes, he's very sick mentally. Yeah, he's sick.
Your thoughts, Corwin? Oh, go ahead, Kyrie.
I was just thinking about it. It's almost a little sadistic too, because Mike was in the situation that happens, and for him to have the audacity to even approach her after that great hurt, that bomb that he dropped on her years ago when they were intended to marry themselves, like for him to come back and approach her knowing the pain that he caused her, and then for him to be laughing and smiling in her face about it, like it wasn't that bad or whatever, it's a little sadistic, so.
Chime on in there, Corwin.
Honestly, I have encountered males, not men, like this before. And I will admit, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say that Mike is sick. I'm going to say that Mike is average. This is the way that average men act. Males act. When they get upset because the woman who they hurt and abused for so long decided to move on with something bigger and better and blacker, then all of a sudden they want to become offended and they want to harm the new guy. And there's been a couple of circumstances where I've had to work over people's ex-husbands over this, because they had this Mike thing like, hey, I was there once, I can be there again. Unfortunately, Sky had to let him know that his wife was under new management. And that didn't sit well with him, but he got the picture when HR showed up. Anyways, the moral of the story is Mike sick? Nah, Mike is about average. Mike is about average. That's how these people act, and that's that.
I try so hard to hold myself together, because I know what my brother's talking about. There's been a couple of situations where somebody was under new management and a fight broke out. So yeah, I think you're a little sick too. Definitely Mike has a problem. The fact that her extreme emotion of being hurt and angry is like, okay, yeah, I see that fire. Yeah, I see that zest. Like, why is that a thing? Why is that a turn on for you? You hurt her, and instead of you being like remorseful, it's almost like something about the fact that I can still get under your skin. I can still do this to you. It's like it makes him feel or think that means that there's some kind of a connection, because if she didn't care about me at all, she would just be like, okay, whatever. So apparently some people just need you to be very neat with them, because showing anger or rage is a turn on. I have had some people in my life where I've dropped a few mother F bombs on them. Don't call me, blocking folks, talking like just real reckless, but it was because it was warranted. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just being mean. No. It takes a lot to bring me to that point. And once you get me to that point, I go in. And then the person's just like, their whole demeanor tones down. And it's like, they were up here and I went off. And then it was like, girl, you be chirping like, I like it when you get saucy. My God, I just cussed you out and called you everything but a child of God. Like, I brought up your mom not raising you right. Like, you should be so offended. You're like blocking her. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that didn't bother you, it's almost like, it's scary a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because some things are triggers and they're buttons, and you should react like, who says, I know you mad, but you ain't gonna talk to me like that. And the fact that you're okay with it makes me wonder, well, what would make you mad then? With me cussing you out and screaming and breaking glass, not to say that I've broken glass, I haven't, but I would have liked to have broken some, like having these flashbacks and all. I didn't, but I should have. You know what I mean? And it's like, if my anger and me trying to be disrespectful to push you away, if that doesn't do it for you, then it is a little scary, because it's like, well, then what will be the trigger? You know what I'm saying? It could be me. Well, I made meatloaf instead of steak for dinner tonight. I mean, is that going to be the thing that's going to trigger you? Like, I don't, so people like that, they're a little scary. That's my 2 cents. And yes, Mike has a problem. Corwin, I think the next question is yours.
Yes, and it's from Angie from Tacoma. Angie says, if Malia were your friend, what would you say anything to her once you noticed her demeanor was different when she came back to the table? If so, what would you say? Question mark.
Corwin, you're supposed to go with your question first. You answer, and then we all take turns. You know how this works.
I'm sorry, pardon my Swahili. I've always tried to pick up on people and their demeanors, and if they didn't seem like they were well, and I would check on them. But I think once you realize that the whatever it is that's causing them an ailment is in the room, then I think I would be saying, "Hey, are you ready to go yet?" It seems that Antonio, at some point, he realizes that Mike is there. That's probably the reason why that Malia isn't in such good spirits anymore. However, when she wants to leave, he says, "No, you got to stay here." But that really is for his own selfish reasons. This lady surrounds herself with sharks and whatnot, you dig? I mean, she has people, from Erica to Mike to Chan to Antonio and the guy Justin. She just seems to know nothing but
Luca and Chris.
So, first of all, Chris the barista has done nothing wrong besides give out his phone number. And as far as Luca goes, he may have a Tommy gun under his camel-colored overcoat, but nobody knows that for sure. Anyways, the moral of the story is that she is surrounded by sharks and whatnot. And I think as a friend, I would ask her if she was ready to go, because I wouldn't want to be in a situation I was uncomfortable with and just stay because my friends begged me to stay. So.
Chris knew Malia was out of her league when he gave her his number. So there. And Antonio is the owner of the nightclub. That's our boy. So if Malia comes back, I see she's upset. I find out Mike is there. Oh, hold up. Either we gonna leave, or we gonna get Antonio and be like, "Hey, you need to get bro out of here. He needs to go home." Because we are VIP. We're here. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the club opening was invite only, and Mike wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't invited. So Antonio should have called his security, his squad, and removed him from the premises. And if he didn't, then me and homegirl, we would be leaving. Stage left.
I just need to say something to Miss Russia as far as Chris being out of males league. Let me tell you, if you think sis, okay, I have been in relationships with many women that I was not their type. But you want to know why? I was charming. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is a piece of advice for all men. If you are dressed nice and you smell good, somebody's going to like you, and you can be very charming.
And how'd that work out for you?
It's worked out well, sis. I ain't going to lie to you. Worked out very well, if you must know.
Oh.
And then I make the decision, like, you know what? This is my bag anymore. Huh?
Exactly. You're not, because you're out of your league.
No such thing. No such thing. Men, don't listen to any of this Farfik Nugan and whatnot. If there's a bird that you want to get your fingertips on, hey, study her and engage with her. Don't be, don't feel that you're not up to her standards and whatnot. 'Cause I'm going to be honest with you. Women like to believe that they are the prize in a relationship, and sometimes they are, but men are the prize too, and women need to keep that in their perms. That's all. Thank you.
And make sure you don't tell them about your $20, right, Corwin?
First of all, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, about $20. But, you know what I mean?
Amnesia, huh?
I was like,
That's
huh?
what you. That was your misadvice or whatever you want to call it for last week about not sharing.
You know, you need to
already
bring the
not
old
telling
stuff,
your
okay?
other-
That was last week's piece of bad advice, okay? We're on to new bad advice this week, okay?
Well, that's
Stay
what
with the
she
program,
was
Kaz.
talking about. You were like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's what she was talking about. Bad advice.
Well, thank you,
Bad.
the Webster's the dictionary over here. Well, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. If Malia was my friend and I noticed her demeanor was different, definitely. I'm not going to ignore her. I'm going to make sure she, I acknowledge her. She knows she's acknowledged that I know something is different about her. I'm going to do what I can to comfort her. And then, yes, we're going to talk to Antonio about getting that situation taken care of. If the list is, we're VIP, the list is invite only. Antonio, I need to know who invited him. Why is he here? So yes, that's what I would say to her. Just let her know, hey girl, I'm here for you. I'm here. We're going to get through tonight. Don't let him mess up our night. That's what I would say to her. Next question. Nicole from Denver, Colorado asks, let's see, how come Malia seems to be blaming herself for Mike mistreating her? Why do women do this? Why can't we just blame the man? I think I talked with Corenna about this last night. Because I guess the second part of that question actually answered the first. It's just something women tend to do. When we get hurt, some of us, most of us, will sit back and be like, okay, well, what did I do? How can I avoid this in, the future? Or, God, if I had just done this differently, or if I had, when in fact, sometimes it don't have nothing to do with her. Men just do what they do. In her situation, she's blaming herself because she said all the signs were there, but she didn't want to see them, and she ignored them, and she came to that realization, and then she's like, okay, that's, that was her blaming herself. And not once, even though he's the one that broke off the engagement, he's the one that humiliated her. Not once was she like, this was wrong that he did this and that he cheated on me and blah, blah, blah. I should have done this. I should have done that. That's just something women do. We beat ourselves up. We're harder on ourselves than we are on our partners. So, I don't know why we can't just blame the man. We eventually, once we heal, that become, we recognize what, part he played in that. But yeah, she's mad that she didn't pay attention, or just pay attention to the signs that she saw, the red flags that she saw when they were together.
So I don't know what you over there rolling your eyes about and laugh and act like you at Chuck E. Cheese. You need to bring that down. Okay?
I honestly feel like we are taught from a very young age, especially if you're raised in a religious home, that, we have to cater to men. They groom us from young girls on how to treat your husband and how to be a servant, and doing all these things for when you get married, and even it used to be a thing where a man walks into a room, or a pastor or elder, you're supposed to stand up, and wait till, he sits down, and then you feed him his plate first and make sure he's good before you tend to the children and everybody else, and so we've been raised like that, you know, as children. And I've even heard if a man has hit a woman or done something to her, I've heard other people ask her, well, what did you do to upset him? What did you do to make him react that way? You know, and imagine hearing that as a young girl, a woman speaking to another woman that way, or a man, a grown up, you know, speaking to another woman that way. Like you intend to internalize everything, you know, and until we grow up and we find our own healings and unlearn the things that we were taught wrong and relearn them, you know, so we can be able to say, that wasn't my fault. This is on him, and I'm not going to internalize his bad behavior. You know, so I do think that's where that stemmed from. And, you know, in women, this is something we've been taught, whether it was subconsciously or intentional in some families. That is something that does get passed down, as women are more looked at as servants to men, you know, and doing for them and, you know, all that, and that we can control their behavior if we were docile enough or submissive enough or more, you know, all these words that people like to use. So yeah, go ahead, Corwin.
You know, I do feel to a certain degree that if you have a good man in your life, then there's nothing wrong with being submissive to him. Just like if a man has a good woman in his life, he should be submissive to her. That doesn't make the man weak, and just like it doesn't make the woman weak. I think the issue that comes into play is that Malia, like a lot of people, see warning signs and I just love him and I don't want to lose him or whatever the case may be. So I see why that she blames herself. And what she really is blaming herself for is staying for so long. I don't think she necessarily is blaming herself for what he did, but for how long she put up with his behavior. And that's what's unfortunate. And I think it's the reason why women punish themselves. Now, I do feel that women are the blame is put on women for the bad behavior of men. And I can only say that I think that women should blame themselves for how long that they stayed with it. But as far as the bad behavior, that's really on the dirtbag himself. If a man is beating his wife, he is a dirtbag. If a man is cheating on his wife, he's a dirtbag. That's him. He's the issue, not her. What's unfortunate is that women do bear the brunt of responsibility as far as holding the family together and even sometimes, unfortunately, providing for the family, which is even worse. And I do think that some men who consider themselves to be high value, which are very few, but I'm sure they also kind of look at the situation of, I am a good man and you pass me over like Chris the barista, but you decide to go with this guy over here for whatever reason. It's like, it goes back to me talking about the picker. Like, you didn't know that this guy was a dirtbag. And I do think that men do hold women accountable for that part, that a good guy tried to get into her life, but he was a square bear or whatever the case may be. As a matter of fact, I actually saw something the other day where a young lady said that Michael B. Jordan looks like he is he doesn't look like he has an edge to him, that he looks so responsible that he knows where his birth certificate is. And this is how some people think, right? So they would prefer to be with the man who treats them like dirt. And then again, after being with him for 10 years, 15 years, whatever the case, when he finally decides that he's found either a better offer or something else, then he's gone. And then she blames herself. Well, that's her own doing. I'm going to say this, like I've been saying this the whole time: have a better picker. And also, if somebody isn't treating you the way that you want to be treated, you don't have to stay. I don't care how big his penis is. Because I've actually heard women tell me before that they stayed with a man because he made me come and get a big penis. And well, I'm like, man, get out of here. I have never heard a man say he stayed with a young lady because of her box. I've never heard a man say it, ever. But women say this kind of madness, and it's crazy to me. Because you can get the good peanut in other places. Just saying. So what I'm saying to you, huh? Right. Well, okay. Well, that was rude. I was just in the middle of a spiel. But that's fine. That's fine.
And as far as Michael B. Jordan, there ain't nothing square or corny about him. And I'll leave my comments there. But Sis don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, because aren't you married?
That's a man. Michael B. Jordan is everything, okay?
Does your husband know about these comments that you're making?
You don't need to be worried about what my husband knows, okay? Because he's got his little Hollywood picks, such as Gabrielle Union and Megan Good and Megan Thee Stallion. He's obsessed with her.
So what happened with Dwayne Wade? But anyways, go ahead. I'm not going to touch that situation.
You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to down my girl. All right. So it was. Let me reread the question. Okay. Yes, I do believe that in a lot of ways, women do blame themselves for when things go down. Because if you see, like, it was really painful to like watch her or read that section because that was really, really layered. And as we go off into like more and more chapters, you're going to see how her family and how her society plays a role in a lot of the things that she's been through. If we remember correctly, back to last chapter, when Mike was throwing things in her face, he brought up the fact that her mother and grandmother were disappointed in her and different things like that. And it was just like, so you're disappointed in me because this dude cheated on me and I didn't fall apart and rebound with his friend or find number 2 in town that was, you know, a healthy choice. Like, y'all disappointed in me? Oh, okay, because I'm the loser, right? So it goes back into like, it's layered how she's looking at herself. And I also think because who Mike and his family is, who Malia and her family is, it's almost kind of like when people have put you together with somebody, like you've been betrothed to this individual, you know, it's almost like, do I even have a choice? I think Corwin's screen is frozen, but it's like, did this woman even feel like she has a real clear choice? You know, does she feel like boys will be boys? It almost felt like she was saying that she felt like all the other girls didn't matter and that eventually he was going to see that out of everybody that you didn't play me for, I was the last man standing or the last woman standing. And we do this whole ride or die foolishness and whatnot. Why does ride or die always have to involve a woman deeply suffering for a man? I don't never hear a man like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be Corinna's ride or die dude. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never heard nobody give me no DMX like that. Like, I ain't never heard nobody say he want to ride for me. It's either he going to ride for me or he going to die for me. Like, women are just expected to take a lot of abuse. And that's really, really sad. And I think that even a lot of times your own family is like, girl, Papa used to cheat on me and da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't care what he did. Like, why do I have to put up with it because you allowed grandpa or dad or whoever to do that, or uncle such and such, right? One point that I wanted to bring up was that we see a lot of times with even in like wealthy or well-to-do families, the husband cheats and the wife knows it and she doesn't confront him about it. She's over that. She's irritated by the fact that he's cheating on her with the secretary or something like that, right? But what does she do? She goes off and finds a pool boy. She's sleeping with the personal trainer. She's sleeping with the gardener. These people have learned that keeping family legacy together is more important than marital happiness. And I think that Malia had seen so much of that probably growing up in surrounding marriages and relationships that the things that Mike was doing, he was falling right into alignment, and she was too. So I do think that, yes, women in a lot of ways internalize, if I was pretty enough, because that ain't never the case. If I was this enough, if I cooked better, he wouldn't have did that to me. And yes, he still would have done it. I don't care if you get the BBL, sis, he's still cheating. Because if that's what that man wants to do, that's what that man's going to do.
Okay. Next question is from Sam from Boise, Idaho. It seems like Malia is taking accountability for ignoring the warning signs from her past. Is she really healed, though? Is the universe testing her? Yeah, I don't think the universe is testing her. I just think that, you know, things that we haven't, like when you have loose ends that you don't clean up, they're bound to come back around, you know, as we see Mike has boomeranged himself or trying to boomerang himself right back into her life. So I hope for her sake and all of ours, that she steers clear from him. She learns her mistake and doesn't fall into his trap for round 2, because honestly, Mike hasn't changed. And he's not looking to do her any better, treat her any better. He's just going back to somewhere where he knows it was good. I definitely don't think Malia is healed, because if she was, she wouldn't even be having all these strong emotions about Mike's life. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Alicia?
Yes, she has taken accountability, though I don't think it's all on her. He has a big part to play in it. The accountability may have touched on what Corin was saying earlier about, the length of time she stayed after ignoring the signs. That's the only part I think she should be accountable for, but and I don't believe she's fully healed. No, I'm going to take that back. I think she has, because she's acknowledging the pain, she's feeling these emotions, but she's not falling back into that trap. She's standing her ground on, okay, no, this guy isn't good for me. I have to move on. Even, she's not considering, well, maybe this time it could work if we do this. Like, she's steadfast, like, okay, no, yes, I'm still attracted to you. Yes, I'm acknowledging that you were able to hurt me because I loved you at some point, but I don't love you now, and I'm ready to move forward without you. So, yeah, healed, but with a scar, visible scar. I'll put it that way.
I gotta be honest with you. Sis is not healed, and I will just be honest with you. Mike just approached her in the wrong way. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If he would have came to her with a softer tone, if he would have seen her in another setting, like he came by her shop with flowers and maybe her favorite chocolates or whatever, I think, he could have smoothed back into her underwears. I really believe that. So I just think that he just had the wrong approach. Do I think that this is the universe testing her? No, I think the man is testing her. I'm going to be honest with you. Men know whose bed that they can climb back into and whatnot after a while, and I don't care what they've done. And Mike is one of those people. Hear me now.
About Malia taking accountability for her part to play in it, I don't think that's fair, because if you think about it, you're in this long-term invested relationship that you're trusting this other person to be who they say they are. Like how would she have been able to avoid any of that? I'm saying he's working out of state. And then he's saying, or he's at school or something like that, and he can't come home for the summer. What is she supposed to do? Hire a PI if she's in a trusting, loving relationship with him? And she's like, okay, well, I'll just take his word that he had to work this holiday, whatever. And so I don't know. I feel like it's really unfair for people to question, like Corwin, oh, she should pick better. She should have knew something was up. Why? If you're in a relationship where you think somebody is up to something, you shouldn't be in a relationship, So I feel like if she was even feeling that way about him, the relationship would have ended a long time ago. But she's loving and trusting this man to be who he says he is. This guy in the community, it's like nothing. She wasn't receiving red flags, because all the men in her life,
really,
they work abroad. They have to be away from the family, for a while. So she's not really. So I feel like Malia is giving herself a harder time than she has to, or she should be beating herself up for. But of course, in hindsight, when we're working on healing, we have to look at things and say, okay, maybe I missed this. Maybe I should have paid more attention to that. But I don't really feel like it's her fault. What's up, Corwin?
Okay, let's just be honest about it, okay? Malia had said that this guy had cheated on her when they were back home. And now that he's off to college, she all of a sudden thinks that he's now going to be a good guy. That he can't come home during the summer. He couldn't come home during the summer. No, he couldn't. Now, if his people also live in the same city as Malia, he couldn't come home to see them for Thanksgiving and Christmas either. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Malia knew what was going on, but it's like you have a lot of folks who will know that they are dealing with a dirtbag, but because he's their dirtbag, when he has time for her, they will put up with it. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I'm not going to say any names here to protect the innocent, i.e. me, but there was a situation that I was involved in some time ago, and I was never able to come over to the young lady's house for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I'd maybe stop over maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And she was okay with that. And I talked to her, like, well, and I'm a lie, I think the guy who we are talking about, he felt bad about it. But the thing is, though, she had to have known that there was something happening. She had to have known. She chose to just look at when he was there, when he was good to her, what he was doing for her in that time. But she had to have known. I'd never been over to his house. I don't know his friends or his family. She had to have known, but she chose to ignore those signs because she just liked the way he made her feel when he was there. And that's how it is.
I feel like you're being hypocritical, Corwin, because if Malia just came out and was just like, oh, I think he's doing this and I think he's doing that, then you're going to be like, oh, the bad guy getting a bad rap. Y'all always a brother can't never get no, you always thinking a brother's up to something. You know what I'm saying? Then you would have been flipping the script on her, like, oh, how come a man just can't be out here working? Y'all always got to assume the worst. So,
because the man isn't out here working, and if he is working on another woman or another relationship. I'm gonna be honest with you. When a man loves a woman, he will make time for her. His job isn't all that important. He will definitely, when he's off, because it's not like he should abandon his responsibilities. But when that woman is important to him, when he doesn't have responsibilities, he's gonna be over there with her. And when he doesn't go over there with her, it's because he doesn't want to. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that women need to stop being clueless and acting like I'm just I am the deer in the woods thing. No, I should say the babe in the woods over here. I didn't know what he was doing. Yes, you did. You didn't want to know about what it was. And until you actually got concrete proof, you just continue to act like everything was fine. Now, the problem is that when women tell their friends about it, and then their friends say, that doesn't really sound right. That doesn't sound like what Daryl does, because, of course, there's always a Daryl somewhere. But the moral of the story is women know that the man is up to no good, and she will turn a blind eye just because she likes the way he treats her when he is present. And that 15 minutes, or for me, that 3 times a month, was enough to make that woman feel special enough to say, I don't need him the other 27 days of the month. I don't need to know where he stays at. I don't need to know his people and whatnot. As long as he's here for those 3 days, I'm good.
Yeah, get off the mic.
So, yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Get off the mic. I'm done with you. What I'm going to say is it sounds like you've been dealing with a person who has been dating the same guy over and over and over. Or if a man can only come and see you 3 times out the month, so let's say if he comes over, once a week for 3 weeks out of the month, that's all the time that this person has for you. It sounds like this person has already been in these types of abusive relationships and doesn't know their worth. Doesn't know their value.
It's not abusive.
It's abusive. Get off the mic. I gave you your time. I'm reclaiming my time. Don't call it abusive.
I am reclaiming my time. No abuse going on, buddy.
I listened to you, you sour puss. Thank you. Okay. So what I would say is that I think that sometimes it seems like, okay, well, this person is this and that and the other, or they're allowing it. And of course, nobody is forcing you to be in a situation that you don't want to be in, but it also goes back to patterns. This person maybe saw that with their own father being a Santa Claus dad, or being Santa Claus, but then coming without the gifts, right? Like just popping up whenever, making big promises. So I'm going to tell you that I believe that a lot of childhood trauma in past relationships start to become the foundation of what it is that you expect. There are some women I've heard, and we even talked about this in like a psychology class that I had in college, and it was like, love shouldn't hurt. And I used to hear that, and I was like, what are you talking about, right? Like, I didn't understand. And Alicia and Kyrie, you're probably doing something else, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You'll go into the ladies' bathrooms, And when you close the stall door, it'll say stuff like love shouldn't hurt and domestic violence is wrong and all that type of stuff, right? There were literally women who believe if he's not beating me, he doesn't love me, because that black eye shows me he cared enough about me to put his hands on me. He loves me. And I was watching the Kendra G show, and there was a person on there talking about she likes her man to get a little handsy with her, you know, so she likes to get slapped, or she likes to, you know, him to throw her on the floor. I wish I would, because I'm catching all type of charges, maybe even homicide. Okay, so let me go back to the question before I get real turned up.
Well, we jumping them together.
You know what I'm saying? We coming through East Side all day.
Really, cuz?
Cora, I don't want to hear nothing else from you. So is Malia taking accountability? I do believe that she is taking a level of accountability for the part that she played in the situation, feeling like, hey, you know, the warning signs had been there with this guy for a long time. And I loved him so much that I was willing to look past some things that he did. And again, I do feel like there was a lot of unfair pressure put on Malia in this relationship with Mike at a very early age. People had already decided they were going to put certain families together and certain things look good together. So it's kind of like, how do you buck up against the grain if your mother and your father and you're in this and we and our families are doing all these things together? You almost feel kind of trapped. And so that's really sad. And I would never want to put that on my daughters or my sons to feel that, no, you have to be with Elizabeth, because Elizabeth, you have to be with Stacy. You have to be with Carisha. Nobody else has that name but Young Miami. It just came to me. I don't know why these names come to me, but I love me some Young Miami. But when you have a situation where you have families and people don't just see marriage as two people getting together and being together, they see marriage as a merger. They see marriage as a business. They see marriage as we're putting together these two strong families and we're going to be able to really take hold of this city in a greater way because of our unions lining up. So I think that was some of the part with Malia as well that was going on. But just speaking generally for women, I do feel that her taking time to reflect on what happened, that's actually a very positive thing. And it shows that there's a level of healing. Is she completely and totally healed from this? No, because healing is a journey. But I do think that Malia is sitting back and saying there were red signs. He was a massive cheater before he left. He went to college, and I felt this was going to be a turning of a new page. She was starting over. And Corwin, you'll say stuff like, well, if a woman's going to be with a man after the way he treated her, then she needs to get over it, right? So this is essentially what Malia was doing. She was saying, let's put the past behind us. Let's move forward. And I'm going to trust you. You know, what happened in the past happened in the past. You're going on to school. You're going to be this attorney. You're going to make the family proud. Like, you're going to do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. And I'm not going to allow whatever we had in the past or whatever didn't happen to guide the relationship now. I'm going into this with renewed trust. Was it a bit naive? Absolutely. Because I don't think that cheaters just stop cheating because it's like, got that out of my system, you know, done with that. I don't think so. I think that it's very dangerous when you allow people to continue certain behaviors in your life, whether it's physical, whether it's mental abuse, verbal abuse, whether it's cheating. When you allow certain actions and behaviors to become a norm in a relationship, it becomes a standard. It becomes the foundation. Why would Mike stop cheating? For some people, cheating is a make it or break it type of situation. You do that to me, bro, and it's a wrap. We done, right? In this situation with Mike and Malia, him cheating on her and her being publicly embarrassed, it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. It was that BS, you know, he's young, he's trying to find himself, and he gonna go through all those raggedy girls. You mute yourself. And eventually he's gonna see that this top-notch winner over here who's been bred for this lifestyle has always been there, has always been respectable, has always been the type of woman that you say you want to marry one day. So I think it's very positive for her to be like healing, moving forward, being on that journey, reflecting, because if you don't reflect, you will make the same mistake again. So now that we start to see these warning signs and these red flags, and I'm gonna say that Malia being on a hiatus of 5 years, yes, she's done some dating, but like serious hardcore relationship. I think it's good that she took this time and dealt with whatever the internal traumas were that she was dealing with. I'm sure she got a lot of stern talking to from her mother and grandmother, who felt like these types of things happen, and you just have to look past some of this stuff because it's for the greater good of some crazy cause, but it's not. You don't have to allow people to mistreat you. You don't have to allow people to cheat on you. If you can't value this body and this mind and this whole aura, then I'm going to need you to go find you a Bianca Ortega, and you go put her through the ringer, because you can't come back over here with that foolishness. So is Malia being tested? Alexa is his mother. Bianca Ortega is Mike. And Alexa is a lot like Malia's mother. They on some dynasty crazy. Too.
But I'm sure. Do you want me to move on to the next question?
I'm not done talking.
Okay. I
have one more point to make, sir. It says, is Malia really healed? Again, healing is a journey. It's not an overnight thing. Is the universe testing her? You know, I'm going to go back to Malia. There was something about an omen in the last chapter, and it was about all these kind of like bad things were starting to happen at one time. And it was like, is this a sign of more to come? Possibly. Is this the universe throwing you another curveball? I don't know. Because I do feel like we as human beings, we are tested different in various areas. I don't know if this is a test, but she's definitely being tested. Her patience is being tested. Her hands are being tested. Her mind is being tested. She's being tested in some way or on some level. And again, I do feel like there's feelings there for Mike that she has. But the fact that she wasn't like, oh, Michael, you know, I heard Bianca divorced you. How sad. You know, she's like, I don't care about none of that. Like, stay about my face. So that was a good sign that even though there's still hurt there, she has a very visible, ugly scar. She's also not going back to the old way of being, of just being like, well, that's just what people do. That's what men do. I'll just find a pool boy. I'll find a mechanic to have a little something on the side to justify this. No, she's like, I want it all, or I don't want nothing at all. Next question.